Today, I'd like to discuss how purpose and intervention can create success, confidence, and inner trust. I'll explain to you three ways that you can achieve this, three basic strategies that you can employ, and I'll explain to you what will happen if you don't do this. I will also explain to you how your continuous failure can be totally eradicated. See, the problem is you are working with blunt tools, and the tools which you're using, emotional, situational, these tools have been blunted by years of misuse and misapplication. Another way of describing those blunted tools is your emotions, your triggers, your circumstances, your loyalties, all of the many things which have conspired one way or another to put you into the less than satisfied state that you may find yourself in. I'm not here to judge that. All I am here to do is to share some techniques and strategies to assist you to liberate yourself from some of the negating and nullifying influences in your life. So stick with me and we will go through some of the strategies required. But first, let me explain to you how the problem arises. You see, a lot of people find themselves trapped by circumstance, and the very things that they have been doing are now contributing to keeping them in that state. So if you have emotional outlooks and you have habits and you have like an inner narrative which is telling you negative things, when you put yourself into a stressed position, you engage in a fight or flight process. Both fight and flight require upgraded stress responses. And within those upgraded stress responses, many of the old voices and old attitudes and old techniques that you have been using throughout your life suddenly emerge. The problem with that is that if you are feeling like you are failing, then when you strive to liberate yourself from the process, you spend a lot of time wasting your energy and judging yourself for the negative feelings that you're experiencing. But there are ways to break the cycle. There are ways to break the feedback loop. And I'm going to describe some of those to you now. So some simple techniques to stop the feedback loop or a negative feedback loop are to name the process that you're experiencing when you feel that negative narrative taking over, the internal voice which is telling you you can't do things, or shaming you, or pushing you into a situation whereby you must act in an emotional fashion. Next thing you need to do is you need to pivot away from the problem. Turn your face towards a new opportunity and go that way. And the third thing you need to do is to reset and recalibrate your expectations about certain situations. What you get then is a quiet progression. And if you can engage in this process, rinse and repeat it, what's going to happen is that you're going to silence that inner negative voice and you're going to compound your own sense of confidence. It won't be a earth-shattering, cataclysmic single event. Because if you have one of those, unfortunately, it's going to wash you out eventually. No, what you need to do is you need to compound, rinse, repeat, and teach yourself the skill set of being able to pivot away from the edge of the cliff and round towards the door of opportunity that's waiting for you if you act with purpose. So you can stop the slide by taking the wheel. Imagine if you are in a vehicle and it's skidding on the ice. Truth of the matter is there are techniques that you can use while driving to stop yourself from rear-ending somebody else or from sliding around and losing control. And the same principles apply to you emotionally. If you can learn to take the wheel and control the skid, you're going to have better outcomes. And the more often you do it, the better you get at it. That's how change becomes a consistent. It becomes a compounded reality. It becomes part of the lifestyle choices that you choose to make. Have you noticed how certain creatures act? Take a horse, for example. A horse has inside its DNA and its evolution certain actions, activities, thoughts, processes which have been inbuilt because it is a prey animal. And as a prey animal, it responds to threats in very consistent ways and very predictable ways. What we're aiming to do as thinking creatures is to graduate away from being prey and graduate into becoming the wolf. You'll notice how you feel when you're challenged or when you're triggered, and maybe a tightening in your chest. You may have that familiar inner narrative starting in your mind, and you might sense defeat almost as an inevitable consequence of any threat to your stability. You can't afford to overlook these symptoms. You have to recognize and engage with them. You can't afford to waste your time judging yourself for being a defeatist or judging yourself for feeling guilty when what you need to be doing is dedicating your energy into making a positive, purposeful change. So, stop now. When you feel the inner narrative taking over and sabotaging you, recognize it, name it, stop it. Instead of dithering on the edge of a cliff, looking down into the abyss, I'd like you to mentally imagine doing a 180-degree pivot and facing the opposite direction, and then stepping away from the cliff, back to safety. And maybe you will notice for the first time when you do this, there is a doorway that you can go through. This is called the opportunity. The opportunity that you can exploit and embrace by simply turning away from the fear and stepping into your purpose. So release yourself from the burden of being a prey creature and embrace the responsibility and the authority that comes with being the wolf. Reiterate this to yourself. When you do the 180 and you step away from the cliff and away from the doubt and the bad narratives, affirm to yourself, I'm not prey, I am the wolf. Claim your authority. It's simply a mindset shift that you can engage purposefully if you have the skills, techniques, and strategies to do it. And that's what we're sharing here today. Skills, techniques, and strategies. Not feel good, not motivation, not flash in the pan stuff. We're talking about developing and building a skill set which is going to enable you to put your own trust in yourself as you see the results you can achieve by taking consistent, clear, purposeful action. So now let's discuss some of the strategies that you can employ in order to break that negative feedback loop. The strategy you can employ when you do your pivot is to commit to a physical interruption to your state, a pattern interrupt. Move, change rooms, stand up, stretch, alter your posture. Repeat to yourself, I am not prey, I am the wolf. Break the feedback loop. Graduate from the prey animal to the wolf by understanding that your identity is a state-dependent situation. It is not wired and fixed in by circumstance or accident. It is an identity which you can develop and evolve by the ways that you act and the ways that you confront the things which limit you. So change your state. Change the version of you which crops up usually when you feel threatened. Replace that with a new version of you, the one that has turned his back on the cliff edge and stepped purposefully towards the door of opportunity. You don't have to try harder, because if you do try harder, you're only going to tighten up, invent more rules for yourself, and try to fabricate ways to fix yourself. This is the fix. This is the authority that you need to claim for yourself. Step away from uncertainty and claim some state of certainty, no matter what it is, and reinforce it by changing your physical state, getting up, stretching, leaving the room, repeating a mantra to yourself. What you're doing then is you're building trust in yourself, and you're giving yourself an opportunity to see that you can achieve what you set out to achieve. But you must release yourself from the negative feedback loop first in order to do this. In short, we have 3 very clear strategies that we can use to break the negative feedback loop and to release ourselves from being prey and to become the wolf. The first one is to recognize the negative narrative. Name it, shame it, and replace it with a better narrative. And the way that you can do that is to mentally or emotionally do a 180-degree pivot. Step away from the uncertainty of the cliff edge and all the fear and all the loathing and self-recrimination that comes with that, and step purposefully towards the door that you can see in your mind. And the door that you can see in your mind is a door marked opportunity. Because every time you find yourself in a stress-filled situation and you find yourself confronting your negative feedback loop, this is now an opportunity for you to claim your authority. So go for it. And the third thing you can do is affirm both of the first 2 by engaging in a physical interruption. Do a pattern interrupt by changing your physiology so that you can now wire in on a neurological basis the emotional changes and the mental changes that you have facilitated. So if you think of it in terms of a triangle, you have the emotional, you have the intellectual, and you have the physical. Or you can think of it as a feedback loop if you so desire. You have a choice. You can choose to engage in the same negative feedback loop that has brought you to where you are, or you can choose to engage in strategies which are going to affirm a positive feedback loop for yourself. It's not a case of trying harder or seeking vague motivations or affirmations. That's not what we're about here. What we're about here is using clear-cut strategies and techniques to assist ourselves to claim our own authority, our own autonomy. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. I hope this has been useful to you. I started on this tip yesterday, but I rather garbled and rushed things. So I sat down and I had a better think about how I wanted to present this next stage of the affirmation. I want you to be aware that many of the successes we achieve in our lives are really just purposeful strategies that we've engaged in. If we can discard what doesn't work and replace it with singular things that do work, you may find that you can narrow your focus down to a very small set of situations rather than grasping in the dark and having to latch on to every second guess that's available to you. We have a choice between a negative feedback loop, which is a vast universe of doubt, or a positive feedback loop, which is a purposeful, focused, filtered process. The choice is yours, my friend, and I hope you take the right ones. So it's time for me to say goodbye now. Thank you for sharing this time with me. I look forward to meeting you again. And remember, whatever it is you dare to do or dream, begin it now.